Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gonna learn on how to configure the network manager in Kali Linux. Okay, so first we open two terminals and each on half side of the window. For one, we use it to write the commands, and the other is to see what is being changed. First, we write sudo su in order to be acting as a root on the first one and on the second terminal also. Okay, so now we are acting as root, which is root Kali and root carry. Here, in order to have a clean page. Okay, first ifconfig. When we write ifconfig, the ifconfig command gives us what types of connections we have. Here I have Ethernet connection, which is by default called Ethernet 0, F0. It gives, I need the IP, the init, which is IP, netmask 255.255.255.0, and the broadcast, which is 192.168.47.255. Okay, so first, we're gonna change the IP, which is this IP. We choose which IP we want. So for me, I chose first, the command that helps me to change the IP is the following. We write ifconfig space the name of the network that we are gonna change the IP for it. Here I have Ethernet 0, so I write ETH0 space. Then the IP that I chose. Here I chose 192.168. The HCP, the default IP, it is 192.168.47.128. So for me, I chose 192.168.47.220. And of course, we add the backslash 24 and up. Why we added up? We added up directly in order to have the when changing the IP. So this command does two things. It changes the IP and let the connection up. So no need to write another command ifconfig Ethernet 0 up with the IP that we already changed. So directly ifconfig Ethernet 0, the IP that we chose, and up, enter. As we can see here, it's changed. And we can check. Okay, now the IP is changed. Let us try to ping 8.8.8.8. Network is unreachable. Of course, network is unreachable because we didn't change the gateway. So we should change the gateway. But in order for us to change the gateway, we should first write a command, which is route add the host, which is a prerequisite for the default gateway in order to be changed. I'm gonna show you an example. If I directly come and write the command to change the default gateway, what error will it give us? So route add. This is the command to change the default gateway. GW. No need to write gateway. All of it. And the IP that I chose is 192.168.47.2. And we should always provide at the end or in the beginning, it depends on the command, the name of the network, which is in this case Ethernet 0. Okay, network is unreachable. In order to have the network reachable, as I said before, we should route add the host. So the command is route add dash host IP, of course, which is 192.168.47.2. And the thing that we should not forget is the name of the network, Ethernet 0. Okay, great. No error. So now we can go back to our command that adds the default gateway. Press enter, and now we can see that we have no errors. In order to check if the default gateway is changed, go back. We write route space -n, and as we can see here, the gateway is changed. Okay, so now we're gonna move to the second step. The second step is how to create and configure a dummy interface, a virtual interface, which of course is dummy, and we are gonna call it a dummy interface. So at first we write mod probe dummy, since it is a dummy interface. We're not gonna use. Then, in order to name the interface, name this dummy interface, we should write the following command: IP link add Ethernet 1. You can call it whatever you want. I chose to call it Ethernet 1 because the first network that I have is called Ethernet 0. So in order to have them respectively after each other and everything is clear and clean, I chose to name it Ethernet 1. And we write again type dummy. Okay. Let us see this dummy virtual interface. So IP link, this command helps us to see the interface. Here is the dummy IP, the dummy interface, but yet we didn't provide for it an IP. So nor a MAC address. We can provide any MAC address you want. So first, I'm gonna provide a MAC address, then I'm gonna add an IP for this interface. So if config Ethernet 1, the name of the network that you chose, HW Ether, then I chose C8, D7 dots for A, 2 dots for E, 2 dots 50. Enter. Successful. Great. So now we're gonna add the IP for this dummy interface. So IP address. No need to write all of the word. Add the IP. In order to add the IP, we should write IP address add. I chose the IP address. The following IP address. Again, I say again, you can choose any IP. Like here I chose 192.168.48.222/24. BRD plus dev, which is the device which device are we adding this IP for, which is Ethernet 1. Label, in order to label it, Ethernet 1 2.0. Okay. So now we should set this network interface, this virtual interface up. So in order to set it up, we write set IP Ethernet 1, which is the name of it, along with up. Enter. And now in order to see it, IPA, which is IP address. Now we have our original one, Ethernet 0, that we changed the IP for it. And now we have the Ethernet 1, which we provided the MAC address for it, and we provided the IP for it also. Great. And you can remove or delete this dummy interface, this dummy virtual interface, whenever you can. I'm gonna, under the video, you'll find a link to the commands that we are gonna use for each and every step, and commands that will help you to delete this interface, delete the host and the gateway of the first step, and stuff. So now we're gonna move to third step. The third step is important. For our interface, which is Ethernet 0, we can assign for it multiple IPs, in which for the interface Ethernet 0, we already have an IP, right? So here I'm gonna teach you how to add another IP for it, and also we can remove it again. So IP A or IP ADDR, the same, no difference. IPA add 192, and here you can choose any IP you'd like to put 168. So I chose 192.168.47.222/24 for the device Ethernet 0, which we already have automatically provided by the network, by the PC. Enter. Okay, now we're gonna see IPA, the same command that we used up in order to see these. Here, enter. Okay, we go to Ethernet 0 because we added to this interface. This is the first IP that we changed, and this is the second IP that we added now, as you can see. Okay, and you can remove it whenever you want. Just here, just to show you that for each interface we can add as much as you want IPs. Okay, step 4. Step 4 is about how to configure DNS and how to add DNS servers in resolve.conf. So at first, in order to have the resolve.conf or the resolve.conf services, we have to make sure that everything is updated. So apt update, it will take a bit of time, not much. It depends on your internet connection, of course. Here you can see the percentage that you've reached and how many packages out of the whole packages is updated, and the amount of time that you still have to finish this process. So we have around 14 seconds. Depends on how many updates you have, of course. Great. I have a lot of packages that can be upgraded, but for me, I need to install the resolve conf. So in order to install uh, resolve conf, I use the following command: apt install and the package that you, the name of the package that you want to install. For now, we are gonna use resolve conf. It doesn't take much time. So again, we are installing the resolve conf in order to work on its services, on its service. So for us to be able to change or add the DNS servers in it. Again, it depends on your internet connection. 20% more. I hope you guys are enjoying this tutorial. You will learn a lot of things, and it helps you in kind of everything you want in Network Manager and Kali Linux. And of course, the process, the progress depends on your machine. Okay, so now it's done. Thanks. Now, usually the resolve conf service is not activated. So in order to check, we write system CTL. We need to check the status. So status of resolve conf dot the service. As we see here, it's dead, inactive. So in order to exit the state, Control C, and here we are gonna start and enable the services. So we write system CTL. All are the same. If you wanna disable it or stop it or see the status or start it, we write the same. So system CTL start instead of status, resolve conf dot service, and after starting it, we should enable it. So the same system CTL enable resolve conf dot service. Okay, so now we're gonna check again the status if it worked or not. Okay, here as we can see, it is active. Great. Now Control C to exit the state. Yes, and here we can see started name server information manager. So now we write nano in order to create this file slash etc slash resolve conf slash resolve dot conf. Okay, as we can see here, it is empty. So we need to, sorry, here we need to add two name servers. The first, we write name server with the dedicated one. So name server, we're gonna add 8.8.8.8. This is the first one. This is the first DNS. The second one, we also write name server. We're gonna add 8.8.4.4. Now we have to save and exit. So in order to save, we press on Control X. Save modified buffer, yes or no, or cancel. Here, of course, we want to save, so we press on Y, and then we press enter. Here it is saved. In order to check if it is saved, cat etc resolve conf resolve.conf. Here we can see that they are saved. So here we should restart the services in order to have the DNS in order to have this the resolve conf acting upon these two provided DNS servers. So system CTL. Now we want to restart resolve conf.service, and we have to restart here two things: the resolve conf.service and restart system D resolve. We changed it .service. Okay, successful. So we're gonna double check after restarting that it is still saved. So cat etc. Here you can see that because you already used this command, it will show etc slash resolve conf slash resolve.conf. Enter. Okay. In order to check if the DNS is pingable, if it is working, we write ping 8.8.8.8. As we can see, pingable. Great. We're gonna check the second one also. So ping 8.8.4.4, which is this one, and enter. Pingable. So now we changed or added two DNS servers, the 8.8.8.8 and the 8.8.4.4, and we restarted the service in order for them to be to start acting to work normally. Now we're gonna move to the fifth part. The fifth part, which is how to prevent network manager from changing the IP. Since we changed the IP from DHCP mode to static mode when we provided our own IP from in the beginning, which is 192, as you can see in the first terminal, 192.168.47.220. Here we have to make sure that the network manager doesn't change the IP by itself once more. So here we have to open the network interfaces. In order to open the network interfaces, nano space slash etc slash network slash interfaces. Here, as we can see, there's already two lines written: the auto LO, which is for this one, and iFace LO init loopback, which is for this one, and for which is for this one. along with the init, which is init. So here we have to provide the iFace LO init as a static mode, not as the HTTP loop back mode. So in order to change it, we go back the iFace sentence. We have iFace LO inet, delete the loopback and change it to static. Okay. Here we are gonna provide it with the IP address, the NAT mask, and the gateway that we chose. And after providing it with those three, we're gonna save it and exit. And in this way, we can prevent the network manager from changing the IP address that we provided manually, that we changed manually. So address, which was 192.168.47.220, the net mask, which is 255.255, we chose this one, so 255, and the gateway, which was 192.168.47.2. And okay, now you press again on Control X, save modified buffer, of course. So we press on Y, then enter. And to check after writing in this file, in the network interfaces file, providing the address with the gateway with the NAT mask and changing the mode to static, we are going to check if the IP changed or not. So here we are gonna check that that in this way the IP, the network manager won't be able to change the provided IP. So if config, we're gonna let the connection go down, then up, and see what will be the IP. Because if we didn't do these steps that we did in the network interfaces, when we disconnect and reconnect again the internet, the network interface, the IP will be changed and a DHCP IP will be provided. So if config, excuse me, Ethernet 0, which is the name of the interface, 192.168. We always have to provide the IP 220/24 down. We're gonna get it down. Now it's down. We're gonna get it up again. So if config, we don't change anything, only we change the last word. It's from down to up. Ethernet 0, 192.168.47.220/24 up. Okay, now as we can see, it is up. So now we go to the first terminal, if, in order to check the IP config. As we can see here, it is successfully changed. It is success. The steps that we did are successful because the IP is still the IP that we provided, that we changed manually in the beginning in the first step. So we're gonna move to the sixth step. The sixth thing we're gonna learn here, as we here, when we, if we like type NS lookup, the DNS of the system D resolve will be 127.0.0.53. So we're gonna change it from this IP to from this DNS to DNS of 8.8.8.8. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna do two things. In order to be able to change it, we have to stop the system resolve service. And so this is the command system as we used before to enable it. Now we're gonna stop it. System CTL stop, because we want to stop the service. Stop system d dot resolve the resolve dot service, and the service will be stopped. Okay, here there's an error. Failed to stop system D. Okay, here I did a mistake. Not system D dot resolve dot service. It is system D dash resolve dot service. Here it is successfully stopped. So now we should enter in the file, which is resolve.conf, in order to change the DNS. So nano space slash etc slash the name of the file that we need, which is resolve.conf. Okay, here as you can see, as I already said, the name server is 127.0.0.53. So now we're gonna change it to 8.8.8.8. 8.8.8.8. Control X, yes, to save, and enter. Then we're gonna check that it is successfully saved. Nano etc resolve.conf. Here we can see that it is successfully changed and saved. Control X to exit. So we can check again that it is changed by nano etc resolve.conf. Okay. Here we're gonna, so this was the last thing that we're gonna learn, and we're gonna check that our IP is still not changed, and the dummy interface that we added is still available, and the gateway that you changed is still available. So route space dash n, you can see the gateway for the interface 0. In order to check the dummy virtual interface that we added, IP 8, you can see that the dummy interface is still visible, still available, along with our original network interface and Ethernet 0 with the IP that we changed. So as I said before, you're gonna find a link down the video, down the tutorial. When you press on this link, you will have access to a notepad file, to a txt file, having all the commands on how to do each and every step, and how to delete the dummy interface, dummy virtual interface, on how to delete the default gateway, delete the host also, how to add another IP for the same interface, and how to delete it also. Thank you for watching.